Hello everyone and welcome to BoredMaster. In today's video, we'll be exploring the Reddit page Tales from Tech Support, where one client won't pay their bill because they believe it came from the devil. But before we begin, please remember to subscribe to join our growing community, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's content. On to the video. This first post is titled, Google Images is showing anime girls instead of our products. I'm a web developer, and I had a client whose name is also a woman's name. Client opens a new ticket. Ticket. When I search for company name on Google, our products don't show up. I knew immediately that this was going to be something I couldn't help them with, but waited to discuss it in our next meeting, and was not prepared for how amusing it was actually going to be. Client. When I do a Google image search for company name, I would expect to get the images that are on our website, but instead it shows a bunch of images of anime girls. I searched the name on Google, switched to images, and sure enough, it was all anime girls. Me, right. So if I search for company name, product type, I do see images of the products on your site, but if you just search for company name, you're going to get results for anything that shares the same name. And since your company name is a person's name, you're going to get lots of results for things other than your company. Client. How can we improve this? Me. Well, you can add more meta tags to your images to make them as detailed as possible in SEO to improve their relevance. But as for searching just the company name, images from your site are not going to take priority over other images on the internet that include the same name and are more relevant. Client. So there's nothing you can do to make our products show up instead of anime girls? Me. Nope. You'd have to talk to Google. This next post is titled, Make sure to inform your IT department before doing any major remodeling. TLDR. If you tear out all the network cables, your network won't work. Who knew, am I right? I work for a decently sized chain of repair shops. One day, we got a ticket from one of the newer locations, a location we acquired 6 months prior. Subject. 2 of our computers are offline. Text of the ticket. Everything was working fine when we left on Friday, but when we got back, 2 of our computers and our Xerox were down. We have customers waiting in the lobby. Please address. This kind of thing happens pretty often in our stores. The cleaning crew comes in over the weekends, and sometimes they'll bump the power cable to the switch in the front office, knocking the machines offline. I figured that was the case and called them, expecting this to be an easy fix. Here's how that conversation went. Me. Hey, this is IT, calling about that ticket about the offline PCs. Can you tell me a little more about what's happening? The store manager. Yeah, man, 2 of our modems, this is what half of our employees call computers, for some reason, are down, and we got a lobby full of customers. What do you need me to do? Me. Can you go trace the Ethernet cables on the computers that are affected? The box they're connected to probably got unplugged. Once I described the Ethernet cable for him, he did so. Manager. They're all unplugged, man. Where should they go? That one stumped me. Me, shocked and surprised. Unplugged? What? They should go into either the wall or the switch. Why are they unplugged? Manager. Oh, they probably did that over the weekend when they were remodeling. Me. Hold up, remodeling? What all got remodeled? Manager. The entire front office. They ripped the walls out completely and moved a ton of stuff. It looks like a whole new building now, at least inside. Me. Who did the wiring? I'm not the head of our department, so I don't know everything going on. But I knew we didn't have our wiring crew scheduled to go to that store over the weekend. Manager. I don't know, the electricians? Look, where do I need to plug these in? Me. Let me call my manager real quick. I end up calling and talking to our IT director, who told me he had no idea the store was being remodeled. He called the person in charge of remodeling and asked her what was up. Here's how that went. IT director. So who did the wiring in that store that got remodeled this weekend? Her. Kenny, the company electrician? IT director. No, who did the network cabling? Who ran the Ethernet cables? Her. What's an Ethernet cable? Note that this isn't the first time we've had this conversation with her. She was notorious for pulling this crap. This right here was just the straw that broke the camel's back. IT Director. Hold on a moment, let me call someone real quick. He proceeded to call the CEO and tell him the full story of what's going on. A few minutes later, we're all CC'd on an email to the head of the remodeling team that basically said, inform the IT department before you do any remodeling. The store itself was half a day's drive for our wiring crew at the time, so we hired some local contractors and paid an emergency fee to get them there the same day to run wires. The story doesn't end there though. The same store was scheduled for more remodeling, which we were made aware of. We just weren't told when it was going to happen. Until we got a ticket on Friday at 4:45 Central that the store was being remodeled over the weekend and that we needed to have it wired and ready to go by Monday morning. The store in question was in Eastern Time, which meant it was already closed by the time we were notified. This resulted in another call to the CEO, who sent out yet another email. This time it said something along the lines of, inform the IT department 2 weeks before you do any remodeling. We never had issues with that lady again. This next post is titled, We're Spending Too Much on Printing. I want accountability. I've posted a few stories about Big Boss. Here's another. Big Boss was chairperson of the university department I worked in. Personally, he was generally nice, could be very generous, but he had a cheap streak when it came to spending on supplies and infrastructure. So, one day I get a call from admin person. Big Boss is upset about how much money we're spending on printing, paper and toner. He thinks there's a lot of waste, and we need to cut back. Okay, I ask, how much are we spending? Admin doesn't know, but Big Boss came in early one day, found a stack of pages in the copier/printer out tray, and blew a gasket. So, can I find out how much we're spending? Turns out it was pretty easy. We bought all our paper from a single campus source, so it was easy to dig that up. We had a contract for our big copier/printer, so that was easy to find. And I did all the purchasing for toner for the desktop printers we had scattered around, so I had those records. In a couple of hours, I had a year's worth of data and gave it to admin and Big Boss. From this, he instituted a couple of changes. Everyone had to have a code for the copier, so we could track individual usage. Great idea. Turned out we had some students who were sneaking in on weekends and copying entire textbooks when electronic copies weren't available. Big Boss also wanted me to set up print logging by user, so we could figure out who the big printer hogs were. I hadn't done this before, but we used a Linux print server, so I found out what packages I needed and set it up. At the end of the month, I dumped the print log info and had it nicely outputted, ready to be stuck on a web page of shame if need be. And to no one's surprise, the project stopped there. Big Boss was far and away the greatest print user in the department. I mean, he printed twice as many pages as the next highest person on the list. As chairperson, some of this was surely proper, but I also knew he liked to print personal stuff. A lot. So we ended up not putting the info up on our website, at least until he rotated out of being chairperson. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. This next post is titled, Your Invoice is the Devil. Back at a fairly new MSP I used to work for, we had a client who was a church. This church was a really good client, always reasonable with expectations, always paid their bill on time, and overall pleasant to deal with. We did some work for them and sent them an invoice. Later on, we got a call from them. I took the call. They mentioned they want to talk about that specific invoice. I let the owner of the MSP take the call. The owner of the MSP inquired what the issue was with the invoice, probably assuming it was something to do with them, thinking they got overcharged or double billed, something like that. Turns out it was the number of the invoice was the problem. Our accounting software was up to invoice 666, which was the invoice number issued to them. They weren't comfortable paying an invoice with that number, and asked if we could cancel that invoice and reissue an invoice for the same amount. We did that, and they paid it straight away, stayed a client for as long as I was with that MSP. This next post is titled, Clear 20 gigabytes of disk space, but don't delete anything. So a few months ago I had this call. So a customer called, and they had less than 1 gigabyte of hard disk space left on their C drive, and requested for some more disk space. I sign into the computer and first recommended the usual. Me. Okay, ma'am, I need you to delete files you will no longer need, or move them to the network drives. Customer. I don't want to do that. Can't you just do it for me? Me. Ma'am, I'm not sure what files you still need. I can recommend some of the larger ones, but it's ultimately up to your discretion. Customer. No then, I don't want to risk deleting anything important. Me. Okay, ma'am, if that's the case, there is some temporary data I can clear. Do you mind if I sign into the computer and do that? Customer unsure. Okay. Sign into the computer and open Disk Cleanup. I find that I can easily empty the recycle bin or clear the download folder to clear 10 gigabytes. Me. Okay, ma'am, I'm going to clear the data from these 2 folders. Would that be okay? Customer. No, don't do that. I know what's in those folders and I still might need it. Me. Okay, I will just clear the internet cache and cookies. It won't be much, but every bit of data helps. Customer really unsure. Okay. I start clearing the folder when the customer screams, Wait! I still want that data. Stop deleting things. Me. Ma'am, we need to clear up some disk space. You have less than 1 gig left, and you won't be able to download or save any more files. You chose to reject all the solutions I provided. I can't think of a way to free up disk space without deleting or moving something. Customer. The last person pushed a button and it freed 20 gigabytes. Just do that. Me. Ma'am, I don't think that is possible. Customer. Clearly you don't know what you're doing. Put things back to how they were and I will talk to someone else. Me. Ma'am, the data I deleted was only unneeded temp data and there is no way to restore it. Customer hangs up. I report this to my supervisor, who thought the customer was crazy. This last post is titled, Sir, our equipment does not commonly set itself on fire. I had this call a while ago. I work for a telecommunications company. Customer. My internet keeps dropping out. Me. Before we TS, can you tell me what lights are lit on your router and on? Customer. Proceeds to tell me, then adds a crucial bit of info. It keeps smoking and sometimes sets itself on fire. Is it not meant to do that? Me. Sir, please turn your router off. Do not turn it back on. Customer. Why not? Me. It is not standard for our router to do that, and may set your house on fire. I then place the customer on hold, while I get approval to send out a replacement router from a somewhat bemused and amused manager. I am sending you out a new router. This one is several versions newer than your current one. Customer. Thank you. I then educated our customer on proper placement for the router, suitable surfaces to place the router, and that we should use the power supply that is included with the router. Lovely customer, just needed a little extra education with the router. Thanks again for listening. Again, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. Also, be sure to click the notification bell to stay up to date on my upcoming videos. I'll see you in the next one.